Hey the person watching this, hope this video finds you well. Welcome to Musical, Exploring Music with Kalyani. So recently this web series came out on Amazon Prime, Bandish Bandits, and suddenly everybody became super interested in Indian classical music. No, I'm not being sarcastic, no offense to anybody. In fact, it's a great achievement of the writer-director of the series that people showed so much of interest in a topic which is otherwise considered to be very mundane, boring and even outdated sometimes. Well, enough of commenting like a wannabe critique. Let's get to the point. Decoding Bandish Bandits, the musical way. We are going to discuss 5 words which are used in this series and which are typically Hindustani classical music terms. You may have understood broadly the meaning of these words by context if you have watched the series. But let's try and get to the root of it. Word number 1, Gharana. You must have heard too much of this word in the series. But what does Gharana even mean? Gharana broadly means family. And so Gharana in terms of music means family by the relation of music. Artists belonging to a particular Gharana have a lot of prominent things in common. Sometimes it's the rags which they perform, sometimes it's the performing style, or sometimes it's the thought process. The first thing I want to mention here is that most of the Gharanas of Hindustani classical music are not named after a family name. They are named after a city or a town. Some prominent Gharanas, for example, are Gwalior, Agra, Jaipur, Kirana, which is named after Kairana in Uttar Pradesh, or Delhi, etc. There is a reason why the Gharanas are named after a specific place. This is because the princely states of those regions provided patronage to various artists and musicians. So these artists molded their styles to suit the taste of their patrons. Then they taught their disciples in the same way or in the same style. And therefore different styles of performance evolved in different parts of the country, which later came to be known as Gharanas of that specific place. Even though the basic principles of Khayal music followed by all these Gharanas or styles were the same, it came across as a landscape which is being painted by different artists depending on their point of view and their interpretation. Now, those of you who have watched the series might have this question: if Gharana is a matter of pride, a matter of responsibility, a matter of legacy, and most importantly, if it's a matter of restriction. To be able to answer these questions, we need to first understand what is the relevance of this Gharana system in today's scenario. The patronage relevance and the regional relevance has almost diminished. The Gharana system has retained its relevance only in terms of the style of performance. However, today many artists obtain training or talim from various great gurus belonging to different Gharanas. Some artists step out of the performing styles of their gurus and develop their own style. Sometimes they sing bandishes from other Gharanas in their own style. So basically all kinds of permutations and combinations. Amongst tabla players, it's a matter of pride to be able to play compositions of different Gharanas. In fact, they have this practice of mentioning the Gharana and even the name of the composer before they present a specific composition. But it's also believed that your voice or your hand gets molded in the style which you initially learn, or you learn more seriously, or you learn for a longer period of time, which is when it is said that your voice or your hand has obtained a sanskar of a specific Gharana. I would like to conclude by mentioning what the great sitar maestro, late Ustad Vilayat Khan, is known to have said. He said, you can borrow the sketch from outside, but make sure to paint it in your own colors. Word number 2 and number 3, Bandish and Tumri. Bandish, as you all must be knowing if you have watched my previous videos, is a composition in Khayal music. If you have missed it, don't worry, click on the eye in the corner of the screen and check it out. What is a Tumri then? It is also a composition set to a specific tal, set to a specific rag, and it is also performed in most of Hindustani classical music concerts. Then what's the difference between a Bandish and a Tumri? Let's start by literature. The literature of Bandish is spread over many genres or subjects like devotional, romantic, philosophical, historical, based on natural phenomena, etc. There is practically no limitation to what the subject of lyrics of a Bandish can be. On the other hand, the subject of literature of a Tumri is mostly romantic or shringarik. Mostly it's about meeting of two lovers or separation of lovers, reconciliation of lovers, waiting for lovers, etc. etc. Another area where these two things differ is melody. Bandishes are composed in umpteen number of rags. In fact, every rag has a bandish in it. And no rag can get its shape without a bandish. So you pick a rag and there is a bandish in it. On the other hand, Thumris are composed in some specific rags like Khamaj, Bhairavi, Kirwani, etc. For example, you can have a bandish in, let's say, a Basant or in a Marwa, but you generally don't have Thumris composed in such rags like Basant Marwa or, let's say, Bhairav or Todi, etc. Secondly, while singing a bandish, the artist has to strictly abide by the rules of the rag. On the other hand, while singing a Thumri, singers take a lot of liberty and use notes and phrases which are way out of the rag. The third area where these two things differ is rhythm. Bandishes are composed in all different kinds of tals like 3 tal 16 beats, 1 tal 12 beats. You also have time cycles of 7 beats and 15 and a half beats. Yes, that's real. While Thumris generally stick to 8 beats, 6 beats, sometimes 7 beats. That's about it. In terms of tempo or speed, or as we call it in Hindustani classical music, lay, bandishes are composed in all the way from Ati Vilambit lay to Vilambit to Madhya, Dhruta and Ati Dhruta lay. While Thumris generally stick to Madhya lay or slightly Dhruta lay. If you're not familiar with this terminology, again click on the eye and get to the video where I have explained these things in greater detail. And finally and most importantly, Bandish makes an integral part of a Khayal performance. You can have a full-fledged Hindustani classical Khayal music concert without a Thumri, but you cannot have it without a Bandish. Most of the times, after a hardcore classical rendition in a concert, the artist chooses to sing something semi-classical, something which is different than hardcore classical bandishes. And in most of the cases, this place is taken by Thumri. Sometimes it's also a bhajan or even a Natya Geet. But Thumri is popular to have taken this place in most of the cases. Word number 4, Rasa. It's strange how whenever I hear the word Rasa of Sanskrit, the first thing that comes to my head is taste. Different tastes like sour, sweet are also called Rasa in Sanskrit. You see how in English as well, we use the word taste in the context of food and also in the context of art. Even in Sanskrit, the concept of rasa helps you describe the mood of food and of the art as well. Any art which acts as a means of expression of the artist, then be it music, be it dance, painting, sculpture, absolutely anything, revolves around the 9 rasas which have been traditionally identified. As the time passed, world advanced and human relationships became more complex, there came to be infinite shades of emotions. But they all, trust me, all of them can be classified under one or more of these 9 rasas. Pause here for a second to see the chart of all the 9 rasas and the corresponding emotions that the rasa means to convey. For example, Karuna rasa conveys sadness, Adbhut rasa conveys astonishment, Bibhatsa rasa conveys disgust, etc. And finally, word number 5, Jugal Bandi. Jugal Bandi basically means a duet, but this has not conventionally been a part of Khayal music. Traditional Khayal format consists of one performer and his or her accompanists. The trend of duets was set by the instrumentalists of previous century. One of the most famous pairs to have performed Jugal Bandis across the world is Pandit Ravi Shankar on sitar and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan on sarod. Another marvelous pair is Ustad Bismillah Khan on shehnai and Pandit VG Jog on violin. Essentially, Jugal Bandi is about coordination and exchange of ideas between the two artists and not a battle or a tussle between them as most of the times is shown to us on the big screen. All the way from 1950 to Baiju Bawra, where this beautiful Jugal Bandi of Ustad Amir Khan Sahab and Pandit D.V. Paluskar is shown as if it's a battle between Baiju Bawra and Tansen. Then again in 1956, Basant Bahar, where this Jugal Bandi of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi and Manna De, Ketaki Gulaba Juhi. It's shown as if it's a tussle between the two characters. All the way till 2015 Marathi film Katyar Kaळजात Ghusli, which is based on the 1967 Marathi drama Katyar Kaळजात Ghusli. There is again this battle or tussle between Khan Sahab and Sadashiv. Bandish Bandits is also not an exception to this. But in real life, in real Hindustani classical music concerts, Jugal Bandis are all about supporting each other, encouraging and appreciating each other, and coordinating with each other, curating a beautiful on-stage live collaboration. While the pairs like Pandit Rajan Mishra and Pandit Sajan Mishra perform the same styles in a Jugal Bandi, we can also see a great deal of confluence of two distinct styles of performing through a Jugal Bandi. For example, the famous pair of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi of Hindustani classical music and Pandit Balamurali Krishna of Carnatic classical music. Another mind-blowing Jugal Bandi that I cannot skip mentioning before I close is the one between Pandit Ravi Shankar on sitar and Yehudi Menuhin on violin. They are accompanied on tabla by Ustad Allah Rakha. They both are playing the exact same composition together. But Ravi ji is playing in his proper Hindustani style and Yehudi Menuhin's techniques are all coming from Western classical music. Like, right from the way he holds his violin to that specific intonation, to that vibrato, and it's absolutely a treat to the ear. I've put the link in the description. Make sure you go and watch it. So that was 5 Hindustani classical music words you needed to know from Bandish Bandits. If there is any other word or concept that you want me to explain, put it in the comment section below. Please also let me know your suggestions, remarks in the comments or on Facebook and Instagram. Links as always are in the description. Feel free to approach. If you have liked this video, make sure you click on the like button and share it with your friends, even parents and children, basically everybody. And if you haven't yet, I know you haven't, so subscribe to my channel for more such content. See you again on Saturdays. Bye-bye.